unsure of what your next step is, even though you've done some work on yourself, you've had some coaching, you've done a lot of reflection work, yet there's still a missing piece. Either stick around, watch my live, or come back and watch the recording of this live. Okay, so my name's Tabetha Dowson. I am from Recolour Vibe, and I'm connecting with my audience and tuning into them to deliver them insight and some coaching tips with my intuition. So what people don't understand is we all hold what I've termed to be trauma coding, and that just means the experiences that you've had in your past create debris, little stories, little bits and pieces in your system. And if you've ever wondered why you can't stop a particular pattern in your life, it is because you've got these pieces of trauma coding, the debris, sitting in your system. And the reason we have that is because we aren't just a brain. There is more to us. We are 70% water. We have a cellular memory. And these events that you deem insignificant, more often than not, are larger than you think with the impact that they've made in your system. So there we have it. So come on in, join the room, and let's see what I can give you. So I've been doing this now for about over 20 years now. I started out doing readings, and it's just over the years progressed. I've done mediumship. Now it all collects, and the connection to the other side comes through as I channel. And that was an intention that I set years ago. Once I'd seen Esther Hicks in action, I decided I wanted to get myself out of the way as much as possible and become a clear channel. And so that's what I do in a session. I connect with you, your system asks my system what questions to ask, and I've developed the ability to tune into those questions that your system wants me to ask, to unearth the trauma coding so that we can unpack it in a softer, more gentle way with a lot more compassion, so that you can just release these codes and release the patterns. Yeah. So I'm still trying to get comfortable in my chair. There we go. Okay. So if you would like me to tune into you, please say hi. I'm generally on here for about 30 minutes on a Thursday night here in Aotearoa, New Zealand time. I don't really want to say NZST anymore. We need to come up with a different term. And if you say hi, then I can tell that you're there and I can tune into you. So we'll start there. Right, I don't think I need that open. Okay. So housekeeping. Some of you are still waiting for my newsletter. I have had a process going on behind the scenes where I'm getting some help with this. So what does that mean for you? For you, that means that you are going to get and receive, Elsie, hello, there we go. You're going to receive a newsletter that is much more appealing to the eye, and it means that I'm going to be able to extract more out of my brain to share with you and help you along your journey with some practical tips as well. So there we go. Now, Elsie, I connected with you last week, and because when I'm in the zone, sometimes I will remember what happened when I get back in the zone, sometimes I won't. So let's see what I bring up today. And you might be thinking to yourself, why don't I hang around for other people? Because I have certain energy to hold the space with. Having a lung condition has changed the way that I the level of energy that I am able to hold for a period of time. Okay, Elsie. Moving my glasses around, my eyes have drawn me to the pen on my table. So I've got a pen, I've got my glasses, I've got my keys, 2 pairs of glasses. Feeling like there's a lot of thinking going on here with the body language, with just tapping the glasses backwards and forwards. I keep looking over to the surrounds for number plates. That's a long story. So I feel like there's a bit of clutter around, and more so, gosh, what is this with my cracking voice? Your decision to do something, perhaps I touched on this last week, is weighing quite heavily on the heart today. So I feel like you've had to make a decision because of somebody else's actions, not necessarily pleasant. So let me know if any of that's resonating before I go down that rabbit hole. That would be great. Yep. Just so that I know I'm not talking to the void. It's always a good start. Just checkly, that's a new word. Checkly. Okay, now what I want to do is just take my time in there. That was an interesting thing to do. I don't think that was wholly mine. So, distracted. So you're wanting answers in a way that nobody has given to you before, and you're not quite sure how to do that. So I feel like whatever this person has done for you to make this decision has managed to erode the trust within yourself. And so the keys on my desk, you've got different directions to go in. So what am I giving you? What am I giving you? Because it's I don't necessarily give advice. What I do give you is a different perspective on things and a way of uncovering some information. So looking for some relief, looking for some soothing, looking for a soft place to fall. You know, the question in my head, did I do the right thing? Well, you probably did do the right thing. It's going to be uncomfortable. Questions like, am I going to be safe? Things like that coming up. Would you do it all over again? Yeah, you probably would make the same decision. What I got as I said that was, this is not a time to second guess yourself. You've had to make some firm decisions because that's what the situation dictated, and you've done that, you know. The time is 9:09, which means a double ending. So there was more to this, again, than what you anticipated when you first started working towards this decision. This is about backing yourself, and you're allowed to choose again when you've moved through this particular phase. You know, there are no hard and fast rules about having to stick to a certain plan. You know, as you evolve, as you come out of this, as you gain more clarity, once this phase is over, you might find that you've got more options than you ever deemed possible, you know. So, being patient with yourself and learning to listen to that intuition on another level. And maybe that sounds like a really general thing to say, but it's not what everybody needs to do in these moments. Some people would need to talk to other people. Some people would need to go and ask questions and find specific help. This, for you, though, is where you practice actioning what your intuition is telling you. And the only way that you get feedback about your intuition and understanding it more is to act upon it. So some people want to be guided. Some people want to have a guide to do that. The problem with having a guide to do that is that you don't wholly, fully listen to everything that your innate is trying to give you via your intuition. So that's food for thought too. That's funny because I'm looking at the food containers up there. Yeah. So, you know, understanding how your messages come in. But at the end of the day, it's your heart filter. So now we're 9/11. We always think about the towers with that. So it is a deconstruction, but I just keep getting safe. You know, there's a safety aspect to the decision you've had to make. And you don't have to try too hard to make things right. You just got to do what you've got to do. Yeah. So just keep charging through. Yeah. It's very quiet in here tonight. It's funny how you get the vibe of the room, and you might think there's not a lot of difference between having 2 people and 6 people. Just funny, it's quiet. Yeah. That's cool. It's cool when there's trauma involved, because the effect of trauma in somebody's life can be very loud and chaotic. So that's interesting. Yeah. You're welcome, Elsa. You are very, very welcome. And again, too, it's always interesting sitting here. I don't always get all the details, and part of that is because this is live and I don't want to share everything, so I don't get given everything. I get given in reasonably general terms to get you to a point where you either get a confirmation or you start asking yourself another question, working with yourself a bit more. Yeah, probably more those two than anything else. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to slow down. So when did I learn how to just keep delivering without asking too much? Really, it's practice. It's a bit like what I've told Elsie. At some point, you've got to back yourself and spit out what comes through and ask for feedback. It either lands or it doesn't, you know. It's a bit like acting on your intuition. You're either going to feel that your intuition was spot on, or you didn't listen to it quite the right way. So your intuition knows what it's doing. How you deal with your intuition is another story. Some might say I had the luxury of not having children and that I've had this time. However, the healing work that I've had to do to be okay in this world has been extensive. It's been hard graft, you know. And there's been other children that have come in, and I can see that there are other children coming in, which is lovely. So again, Elsie, there might have been something else extra in that little ramble. I'm at the point now where when I'm with a client and I start talking about something in my life, there's something in there. I don't I have a rule that I don't generally talk about my stuff with clients unless I'm propelled to do so. And it's generally if someone is struggling to understand the connection of what I'm trying to deliver. Sometimes it helps that person to understand that there are other people who have processed life the same way. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I might just leave that there. I'm just going to tuck that in there, and it'll be a nice short video. You can find the recording of this on my website, and not that I've launched that yet. That will come fairly soon with the launching of the newsletter. I'm just tying everything up. All right. Okay. Thank you.